All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Madam Foreperson, I understand you have reached a verdict as to each defendant.
We have, Your Honor.
Please hand your verdict forms to the sheriff. I'm going to go ahead and address each one of these verdict forms separately. First verdict form I have is the State of Georgia versus Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, please stand. Verdict is as follows. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, State of Georgia, the State of Georgia versus Travis McMichael, case number CR 000433. Jury verdict form. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. I'm going to ask that whoever just made an outburst be removed from the court, please. As this court has indicated, I ask that there be no outbursts in the court, and I expect as much from the gallery. Please respect the court's desire for this as we move forward. If you feel like you need to make a comment or otherwise demonstrate with respect to the verdict, I do ask that you step out of the courtroom now. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 4, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 5, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 7, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 8, false imprisonment. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 9, criminal attempt to commit a felony. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Dated this 24th day of November, 2021, signed by the foreperson. Have a seat. As to Gregory McMichael. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, the State of Georgia versus Greg McMichael, case number CR 2000433. Jury verdict form. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, not guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 4, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 5, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 7, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 8, false imprisonment. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. Count 9, criminal attempt to commit a felony. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. This 24th day of November, 2021, signed by the foreperson. as to William R. Bryan. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, State of Georgia versus William R. Bryan, case number CR 2000433, jury verdict form. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 4, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 5, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 7, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 8, false imprisonment. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 9, criminal attempt to commit a felony. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Signed this 24th day of November by the foreperson. Go ahead and have a seat. Court having read the verdicts and accepted the verdicts, anything from the state?
No, Your Honor, nothing from the state.
Anything from the defense?
We ask the jury be polled, Your Honor.
All defendants ask the jury be polled? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask each of you individually a set of 2 questions with respect to the verdicts that I have just read. If you could please respond when you hear your juror number. Juror number 1, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 2, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
I can't. Okay, 2. Juror number 3, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes.
Juror number 4, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 5, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 7, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 8, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 9, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 10, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 11, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 12, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And juror 16, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
The jury has been polled. Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
From Greg McMichael?
No, Your Honor.
From Mr. Bryan?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what that means with the court having accepted your verdict is that your role in this case is now at an end. What we're going to do today is I'm going to have all of you, the panel and the 3 alternates, go ahead and retire into the jury room. I'm going to address a couple matters logistically with you in the jury room once we get done here. But before we do that, and before I excuse you, I do want to thank you publicly for your service here in Glenn County. It has been a long trial, and I appreciate the fact that you have been attentive. You've listened to the evidence, and that is what we ask in this court. It's a very simple ask in a very complex way, so it's appreciated. When we all got together, I say we all got together, when we got together at different times, I said that I was going to thank you a number of times and how I was going to tell you I do truly appreciate your time here. Hopefully you understand why I said that when we started. I do also hope that you got a little bit of an insight into what goes on in a trial and maybe understand a little bit more of how important it is for members of our community to come down and be part of this process and serve as jurors in this community. So again, thank you for that service. And I'll come address you all in just a moment. You're excused.
All right, for the jury.
From the very beginning, from the spring of 2020, Omar, what's the reaction outside the courthouse, and what stands out to you about this verdict?
Well, Catherine, we were outside just courthouse right there behind me, and the second we heard malice murder, there was a slight delay when they were reading Travis McMichael, and there was a very, very loud yell, people cheering. They wanted to hear that Travis McMichael, the man who was accused of pulling the trigger and found guilty of murder, they wanted to hear that he was guilty of malice murder. Interesting note, I'm going through some of the my sheets here. His father, Gregory McMichael, not guilty, as we heard there. That was a bit of a surprise. People there were kind of didn't know how to react, but he was found guilty of the felony murder counts and the rest, aggravated assault, false imprisonment. What's interesting is that now, from what we understand, we just heard the judge, he's dismissing the jury, which means the judge is now going to issue out whatever sentences. Now, malice murder, it basically means life in prison. So we know with that count for Travis McMichael, that's probably be the rest of his life. For the rest of the felony murders with Gregory McMichael and William Roddy Bryan, we have to see what that's going to mean. But it looks like right now, the person who's on that video pulling the shotgun and shooting Ahmaud Arbery 3 times was found guilty by a jury of his peers of malice murder here in Glynn County in South Georgia.
Omar Villafranca, thank you for your reporting. And let's bring in legal analyst Joe Tamburino. Joe, decode the verdict for us and whether you think the case in Georgia has legal implications beyond that state.
Good afternoon. Yes, to decode the case is this, that the jury did not believe that they were acting under citizen arrest laws and they did not act in self-defense. And what to look forward to is this. There could be a profound impact countrywide on the issues of open carry of firearms and citizen arrest laws. Will states expand or restrict its citizens' ability to openly carry firearms in public? And will they adjust their citizen arrest laws like we had in Georgia in this case? Georgia repealed their law after this incident occurred. So we should look for developments in both those areas.
Joe Tamburino, thank you for your analysis. Our coverage continues on our 24-hour streaming service, CBSN. You can watch it at cbsnews.com.
This is a breaking news update here on CBS 46. I'm Tracy Hutchins. Ahmaud Arbery's killers have been found guilty. We do want to update you once again on the trial that has been ongoing in Brunswick, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. The jury just released their verdicts. The judge read those in court. The jury read those in court. Travis McMichael, the man who fired the shots that killed the 25-year-old last year, found guilty on all charges, including malice murder. That means he could face life in prison. His father, Greg McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan found guilty on felony murder. Now, in all, each man faced a total of 9 counts. Bryan is the man who filmed the encounter, that infamous video that really brought this case to light so many months ago. Arbery was jogging in his Brunswick neighborhood when the McMichaels grabbed guns, chased him down the road, and shot him during a struggle. As a reminder, these are the charges that the jury has decided on. They are malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit a felony. All but Two of the men there, Gregory McMichael, he was not found guilty of malice murder. His son, Travis McMichael, was found guilty on all 9 counts, and William Roddy Bryant was found not guilty on 3 of the 9 charges against him. Let's head out to CBS 46's Zach Summers. He's been following this case throughout the week. And Zach, tell me what the temperature is of the crowd there outside the Glenn County Courthouse.
Well, Tracy, when those verdicts were read, it was just an eruption of applause from the crowd here outside the Glenn County Courthouse. You know, some of these folks have been out here every day throughout this trial. A lot of them got here early this morning. They were waiting on a moment like today because for them, this is justice. Ma'am, can I ask you a couple of questions? What's your name?
Shakira Jackson.
Shakira, are you from Brunswick?
Yes, I'm born and raised here.
How are you feeling right now?
I am so happy. Like, I thought they were going to get away with it, like that other Kyle Rittenhouse or something. And so I'm really glad that Ahmaud got justice today.
Yeah, now you live here. What did you make of the tone of this trial?
I don't know. Like, I think that the prosecution did a good job. Like, we were all rooting for her. She is trending on the internet, like, you know, Auntie so-and-so is invited to Thanksgiving dinner or something like that. But, I think they did a good job stating all the facts and getting justice for them.
Certainly. Thank you for your time. I want to bring in another gentleman here. How you doing, sir? What's your name?
Yusuf Mwakio.
Yusuf, how are you feeling right now about this verdict?
I'm feeling very positive, very good, and very thankful.
Yeah, you know, did you think this was going to happen?
Honestly, no. But I knew that it should. And it just tells me that we have something to build on. You know, I believe that we are crossing over into a new world right now. And I believe we're in that birth canal. And I think this is just one of the bodies that's been pulled through the birth canal. And we have to reach back in others. And we will do this and look out for one another, reach back for one another, and build together. America will be the America that was intended to be.
Certainly, you know, earlier today we heard from Reverend Al Sharpton and other clergymen walking in with the family, and they made mention of how they thought there were racial undertones throughout this trial. But you had a jury, a majority white women, or white folks who came down with this decision today.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, God is one God. Humanity is one. We can't stop the times we're in. There's a history we have that we have done a lot of damage to. This is a sign that we should realize that times are changing. And we have to have that hope that times are changing. And we have to continue to apply ourselves, show support for what is right and what is good and for justice and one another. And I'm not just talking about blacks and blacks, I'm talking about humanity. That's the key. Humanity is the key. The old days, the old ways just ain't gonna work no more. And you know, one of the things that I was concerned about the jury, not that I thought that they might be dishonest people or wrong people, or my doubt didn't come from the fact that I might think that they were horrible people or something like that. My doubt came from the fact that they are a product of this same society that those defendants are a product of. And when you have that product dealing with anything, you have to ask yourself, do they really understand what it is that's being said through the prism, through the eyes of unity and justice, or are they looking at it with some old stale memory of what they have been tainted with the same as everybody else? And that was my concern, because you never know. And it's like, we never know who's going to be the next person to step forward and take this forward and pull us together and make this America what America's supposed to be.
Yes, sir. Anything else you want to say about today, about this trial, about the future?
I'm very positive on the future. I believe in the Creator. He's one Creator and all one creation. And I believe we are going in the right direction, whether we want to or not. If somebody don't go forward, they're just going to be left behind.
Thank
That's
you.
the positiveness of this.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time and perspective. Yeah, so you know, this has been a long time coming. You know, Ahmaud Arbery was chased down and killed back in February of 2020. It took weeks for them to select a jury for this trial. We had 13 days of trial, and then the jury deliberated for the last 2 days spending over the course of 2 days, 11 and a half hours before they came to the verdict today of guilty for the three men on a number of charges connected to this, in this case against Ahmaud Arbery. As we continue to watch the group outside the courtroom chant, let's just listen in. You know, these folks have been fired up again, not just today, but throughout the week. I do want to bring in a woman I talked to earlier. This is Melita. Melita, you're from the Atlanta area, DeKalb County, and you were here earlier. You said you came down here with your grandchildren. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling absolutely amazed right now that we got the justice that we needed, and America has gotten the justice that we were supposed to have a long time ago before they tried to make this a cover-up.
Yeah, you know, you came down here with your two grandchildren, very young. I presume your daughter, your grandfather. What is it like to share this moment with them?
It's history, and it lets us know that we have a long way to go, and they need to take the torch because we have a long way to go. We've come a long way, but we're not done yet, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, as you said earlier, you want to start them young so they can pick up the fight.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Melita, anything else you want to say about today, about this moment, about this trial, about moving forward as a society, as a people?
I'm just happy. We got justice. We got justice.
Thank you, Melita. So that's the tone out here in Glenn County, in Brunswick. Again, the scene of that killing back in February of 2022. Here we are almost 2 years before we get some closure in this case that not only captivated this community, this state, but the country. Tracy?
I know it feels like a bittersweet victory, certainly for the Arbery family and for so many who live there in Brunswick, Georgia, and in Glenn County, and to see so many people come out and really sit vigil, if you will, to make sure that justice was found for that family. We know a prayer vigil was held there outside the Glenn County Courthouse earlier, and a number of black pastors, that had been made an issue during the trial by defense attorneys. Black pastors had really come to be with the family and to be with those crowds there as they awaited the verdict in this case. Right now, let's bring in our legal analyst, if we can, Paige Pate, who is a renowned defense attorney here in the metro Atlanta area. And Paige, I know you've been watching this trial closely. You have an office right there across from the Glenn County Courthouse. Were you surprised by this verdict? All right, we're going to have to get back to Paige because we're working on your audio right now. Of course, technology, that is one thing we still have to iron out. In the meantime, we has come in from across the metro Atlanta area. We do know that Keisha Lance Bottoms, mayor here in Atlanta, she has sent in her reaction to the Ahmaud Arbery case, the trial of the three men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery. I believe we do have that reaction from Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, if we could show that. She just released a statement. It says in part that she is hopeful that this verdict gives Mr. Arbery's family and people across America some level of comfort in knowing that these men are being held accountable for taking the life of an innocent young man. And I do know that Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock also sent a statement as well. From what we understand, a number of his people basically have sent in a comment on the verdict. Senator Warnock saying today's verdict upholds a sense of accountability, but not true justice. True justice looks like a young black man not having to worry about being harmed or killed while on a jog, while sleeping in his bed, while living what should be a very long life. Ahmaud should be with us today. All right, let's go back to our legal analyst, Paige Pate, who's been watching this trial very closely. Paige, I believe we've worked out the kinks there and can hear you, but I wanted to find out your reaction to this verdict.
Well, I'm relieved by this verdict. I am here in Glenn County now. I've had an office here for several years, and this community has come an incredibly long way. I mean, just think, back in February of 2020, not only were these individuals still free, there was no crime here. The district attorney, two different district attorneys had passed on this case, thought it was clear self-defense. We would have never been in this position but for the video. The jury went through the evidence carefully, and you can tell they did that because they didn't find everybody guilty of everything. They tried to only find people guilty based on the evidence. Bottom line, 1 murder count at least for each defendant, and that means a life sentence for each defendant in this case.
And Paige, adding the time that the jury spent deliberating, about 11 hours or so. And I know, as a defense attorney, you can't pin a whole lot on how long the jury deliberates. But in this case, like you mentioned, they did come back with a swift verdict, and one that they looked at closely. And what does it say to you, too, that, they wanted to look at once again that video and listen to the 911 calls? And as you mentioned, that video, unfortunately, we've been playing over and over, and it just breaks your heart to see it happen. But right there, it seems to be clear evidence of what happened and how Ahmaud Arbery was chased down and hunted down, some would say.
Well, you would think so, and I certainly think so. But as we heard during this trial, there was at least one witness who testified, an individual who lived in the McMichaels neighborhood, who thought that video was evidence of self-defense. So there are some people that see it differently. And what I think happened today is you may have had 1 or 2 people who were on the fence, and the rest of the jury said, look, let's go back in and watch this video again. Listen to Greg McMichael on the phone and say that the emergency is a black man running through the neighborhood. And I think that's all it took to sway whatever people were holding out.
And Paige, because you do have an office in that community and have been there quite some time in Glynn County, this is an area that had the nation's attention on it. A very small community, relatively small. How can they move past now being the spotlight, for a trial like this? Many would say this is a reckoning, certainly after the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, to have this kind of verdict in a case like this that has gotten national attention. How can the community move past this?
Well, I'm very optimistic about that. I mean, it was when these people were indicted and arrested, finally, there was relief in the community. I don't think there were many people here who thought that that was the wrong decision. I think most people believe they should have been arrested, they should have been charged with murder, and should have been convicted. I've got a great vantage point here. I'm literally looking over the courthouse square. This entire trial, there have been protesters, there have been supporters, demonstrators, but it has been peaceful. And I see no reason for that to change. I think the community has handled this trial well. And the DA, who did not prosecute the case, is not only gone from office, she's under indictment herself. So I think there have been a lot of changes here, positive changes.
And Paige, what about sentencing? I know you mentioned that briefly before. What does sentencing look like for all 3 of the men in this case?
Well, if it's malice murder or felony murder, the sentence is life. But that life sentence can either be with parole, which means they would be authorized to seek parole after serving 30 years of the sentence, or life without parole. So what the judge has said is, I'm going to postpone sentencing, give both sides time to argue mitigation or aggravation to try to decide, am I going to give them a chance at parole or just sentence them to straight life, no parole?
Paige Pate, thank you as always for your insight. We will certainly be hearing from you later today as we continue our coverage here on CBS 46. Once again, wrapping this up, you can follow this story online on our CBS 46 streaming app. Our Zach Summers there at the Glynn County Courthouse getting reaction from a crowd that is gathered outside the courthouse as they were waiting for that verdict to be read. Zach, we want to go back to you again. You're speaking to some folks there in the community. What are they telling you?
Yeah, Tracy, Portia here, she's actually from the Atlanta area. She got very emotional as this verdict was read. And Portia, you were telling me this is more, when you say Black Lives Matter, this is what you're talking about.
This is exactly what we're talking about. We're not saying it's not just an organization. No, yeah, we know all lives matter, but until Black Lives Matter, where we get the same justice as any other race, that is when we're going to see that Black Lives Matter. We saw that today.
Yeah, tell me, what are you feeling in this moment?
I feel surreal. It feels surreal, but I know it's real because we all saw it and we all felt it at the same time. Y'all continue to keep the Arbery family in your prayers, light, comfort, because they still got a lot of grieving to do.
Certainly, and we saw them throughout this trial both be strong, even if they heard, what their lawyers say was mischaracterization of Ahmaud Arbery. You were saying earlier, if it had not been for the family, we wouldn't have this day.
If it would not been for the Arbery family, we would not be here standing here cheering for victory.
Why is that?
Because they knew their family. They knew the character of the child and the young black man that they raised. So when the notion of who he was and how he got killed came into play, they knew they had to do something about it, and they couldn't let it sleep up under the rug. So we want to thank Roddy Brown for that tape.
Certainly, and where do we go from here? I know you're an activist. Where do we go moving forward?
First of all, we need to heal as a country. Secondly, we need to start paying attention to the people that don't know how to take accountability for their actions. We also need to learn how to fight for the reform of prisons, so we know that everybody is equally looked at and getting the proper sentences that one deserves. So if one get the same sentence, all should get that same sentence. It makes no sense why a white man should get probation for 4 rapes when they would have put a black man in prison for life.
All right. Well, Portia, thank you. I appreciate your perspective. And earlier we saw the Arbery family, both the mom, Wanda, the father, Marcus, go into the courthouse before the verdict was read. They were with the Reverend Al Sharpton, their 2 attorneys, Ben Crump and Lee Merritt, and a number of their supporters. We expect that they will speak to the media once they leave the courthouse. Earlier today, when they spoke with us before the verdict, Reverend Al Sharpton put a plea out to all Americans and said, when you sit at the Thanksgiving dinner table tomorrow, just set an empty chair and realize that for the Arbery family, they will have an empty chair at their dinner table because Ahmaud's not here. Ahmaud hasn't been here the last 2 Thanksgivings. He missed Thanksgiving last year and, of course, this year. So you can only imagine what the family is feeling right now with these guilty verdicts. But again, we should likely hear from them once they leave the courthouse. Tracy?
Yeah, Zach, absolutely a bittersweet victory for them. They have fought so hard and so long. And as you have reported, and our Haley Mason has been covering this trial extensively as well. They're in the courtroom listening to that testimony and watching those videos and hearing the calls. Once again, just heartbreaking for that family. But today, it certainly feels like justice for them, for the men accused and accused of killing their son. We do want to just recap for you, if we could, again, guilty verdicts in those counts, nearly all 9 counts against each of the men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery. For Travis McMichael, guilty on all counts, all 9 counts, including felony murder. His father, Gregory McMichael, who drove the white truck that we'd often seen in that video. Travis, his son, fired the shots. That's why he was found guilty on all 9 charges, including that felony murder. Gregory McMichael was also in that truck with a weapon on top of the truck. He was found not guilty of malice murder, but guilty on all the other 8 counts, including felony murder as well. And Roddy William Bryant, who shot the video that really brought this case to light so many months ago, he was found not guilty on 3 of the 9 charges as well. Again, these are the charges against the defendants: malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and attempt to commit felony. All of those 3 defendants were basically facing all of those charges together. So almost all but a few of those counts, those men were found guilty on. This is a story we continue to follow. As we take a live look now outside the Glynn County Courthouse, we do expect to hear from the family members of Ahmaud Arbery to come to the podium and speak. We will be carrying this on our CBS 46 streaming app as well. So make sure you follow this story with us online and all our social media channels too. We will watch this story, and certainly a number of prominent Black pastors are said to be there at the Glenn County Courthouse. They are no doubt in conference with the family members now, speaking with them, preparing them for the crowd outside. And we will continue to cover this story. We want to go back out to our Zach Summers, who was there in the midst of the crowd. And there was certainly some jubilation. There was an outburst in the courtroom, Zach. You probably were able to hear it from your perspective when that first count of guilty for felony murder was read against Travis McMichael, and the judge cautioned people sitting in the courtroom there could be no outburst. So I'm sure on the outside, you heard a number of outbursts as people were watching on their phones and listening to those verdicts as they were read outside. Zach?
Yeah, people just breathing a sigh of relief. They didn't think that this was going to happen. And, we keep trying to find those folks because there have been a number of people who have been here since day one, since they saw the video of what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, and they've been following this trial since day one. I want to bring in you, sir. What's your name again?
I'm Julian Johnson.
Julian, tell us how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling exalted, exhilarated. I feel good that justice was served, particularly on the heels of what happened in Kenosha last week. I actually drove down from Washington, D.C. I'm a resident of Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I drove down from Washington, D.C. Monday night because I wanted to be here. So, 64 years old. I've seen the miscarriages of justice over the many, many years, and this just feels good.
I'm sorry, did you say you drove down here?
I drove from Washington, D.C. Monday night. I left D.C. at 9:15 Monday night, and here I am. I got here yesterday about 10:30 in the morning, and now I'm definitely needed to be here today because I felt the verdict was forthcoming.
This coverage has been streaming online on several outlets. Why did you feel it was important to be here in Brunswick, Georgia, and not watch it from your home in Washington, D.C.?
I think in the matter of racial justice, this is historic. It could have went either way. I would have been upset, but I wouldn't have been shocked or super surprised had the verdict been differently. But it just feels good that the verdict was guilty for all three defendants.
Yeah, well, anything you want to say to the Arbery family? Because, while you say you are pleased, you're exalted, as you said,
yeah,
with the verdict, this is bittersweet for Ahmaud's family.
It is bittersweet because the verdict doesn't bring Ahmaud back. It doesn't. Wanda, her son is gone. So this kind of helps, that's what I would say, a measure of justice or to feel good about something. Just imagine a not guilty verdict and how devastating that would be for the family. So justice was served. I just can't see how anybody could disagree with this verdict. It was pretty clear cut. The prosecution, they did a phenomenal job, and I just think the right call came out. The jury delivered the right call. So.
Yeah, the jury deliberated yesterday for more than 6 hours, then they came back for day 2. Was there any doubt that, maybe they wouldn't reach a verdict by Thanksgiving tomorrow?
Not for me. And I've been listening to the pundits, and they basically were saying, well, they're real people, they want to go home, they're probably going to really earnestly take a look at this matter and try to get it resolved and render a verdict today. Everybody was basically expecting a verdict today. So I was kind of thinking the same thing, that yes, and partly because I just think that the evidence was so clear cut.
Yeah, and you can't talk about this case without bringing in race. And the majority of the jury was white. There was only one black juror on this panel, but we still came down with guilty count.
I think that gives a lot of confidence that the system does work. But in this particular case, though, with the amount of evidence, how could you come up with another charge? It would have been a definite miscarriage. I want to hear what's going on. Is that Wanda?
Yeah. No, that's not Wanda. We're taking a listen to, this is a group that came from Washington, D.C. They've been out here a number of days. Let's listen in. Oh, that's Portia.
Justice for Ahmaud! 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 Justice for Ahmaud!
you hear as they continue to chant out here. Again, I was saying this group, some of them are from Washington, others are from Atlanta. We heard from Portia a moment ago saying, this is huge, not just for the black community, but all of America, because this outcome, this verdict shows that, and you heard the gentleman just say, the system works for all. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean that it's always that they get it right, but this one, it feels right for so many people who are out here and who have followed this trial, who saw that video and said it just didn't sit right with what went down on February 23rd of 2020. Tracy, again, we are still waiting, anticipating to hear from the Reverend Al Sharpton. He was with the family earlier. We imagine the Arbery family's lawyers, Ben Crump, Lee Merritt, they will address the media. And, we're all waiting to hear from Wanda, Arbery's mother, his father, Marcus. They have spoken with the media over the last couple of days as we have gone throughout this trial, as we have waited on a verdict. So we imagine that they will address the media and let us know, what they're feeling at this moment. Again, as we've said, it's got to be bittersweet. They have lost a son, but at the same time, they have found justice in knowing that the men who are now convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery are now going to be held accountable. Tracy?
Well, Zach, this day is certainly about them, the mother and father of Ahmaud Arbery, as you mentioned, Wanda and Marcus there. Let's take a quick look at the timeline as well, because justice has been a long time in coming. Well, actually, let's go to the podium now. You're looking there live out in front of the Glynn County Courthouse. You see pastors there along with the mother and father, Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump, famed attorney there. Let's listen in as we hear the crowd really rejoice as they celebrate a victory in this case. A majority of the counts against the men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery, almost all of them came back guilty. Again, the jury just less than an hour ago announcing again, nearly all guilty counts against the men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery. We see Benjamin Crump, who represents Ahmaud Arbery's father, Marcus, and not too far behind there, Al Sharpton. He's in front of the podium. Let's listen in as we hear from him and Ahmaud Arbery's family members.
Let us say, first and foremost, we're going to start by thanking God for shining on us. Let us thank these lawyers. Let us thank the prosecutor. Let us thank the activists that y'all called the mob, that marched and stood up. Let us thank all of the people that believed. And let us, more than anything, thank the mother and father.
Marcus.
They lost a son.
That's right.
But their son will go down in history as one that proved that if you hold on, that justice can come.
Yes, sir.
This mother would tell me, Reverend, we're going to win this. When I had doubts, she kept praying. This father said, we got to get some justice for my son. And let the word go forth all over the world that a jury of 11 whites and one black in the deep South stood up in the courtroom and said that black lives do matter. Let it be clear that almost 10 years after Trayvon, God used Wanda and Marcus's son to prove that if we kept marching and kept fighting, we would make you hear us. We got a lot more battles to fight, but this was an important battle today. This was proving that our children know their value. And that's why those people that march, I'm talking about the people here that was here when nobody else was here. They stood up. as the place that criminal justice took a different turn. Let us pray.
Thank you, Lord.
Dear God, we come thanking you for your mercy, thanking you for giving us a prosecutor's team that when it looked to us like they'd stack the jury, that you still found a way to open up the minds of people to listen to the evidence and weigh it based on facts, not based on skin color. That you gave strength to this mother, and you gave strength to this father, to not give up on you, even when many of us doubted, even when many of us said it's not going to happen. You came in the state of Georgia, a state known for segregation, a state known for Jim Crow, and you turned it around. You took a young unarmed boy that they thought was worthless, and you put his name in history today. Years from now, decades from now, they'll be talking about a boy named Ahmaud Arbery that taught this country what justice looks like. As we go forth, let us go forth in the victory you've given us. Thank everyone in Brunswick that marched, that stood out in front of this courthouse, that was called the lynch mob, but they kept on marching. And let us know that all whites are not racist, and all blacks are not worthless. And we're all your children, and we will give you the grace and give you the glory. The glory be yours, not ours. Let us not be proud, and let us not be vengeful. But let us be thankful that you brought us closer together today. These blessings we ask in your name and your sake. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We never had a Thanksgiving Day like today. We will hear from the attorneys and the parents. Let us hear from the attorney for Wanda, who is running for the Texas Attorney General. He asked me not to say it, but I'm going to say it. We need attorney generals like this. That's right. Lee Merritt, followed by the Attorney General of Black America, who flew in and out even as he handled other cases. These lawyers kept going to the wall and stood up. We walked out of court buildings with tears in our eyes. We cried inside, but they were tears of joy because people like Thurgood Marshall and others broke down barriers to produce a Ben Crump and a Lee Merritt. Amen. Amen. All right.
Amen. You all don't want to hear from me right now. You want to hear from the family of Ahmaud Arbery, as we all do. We want to wrap our arms around them. The only reason that I'm speaking is to provide an introduction for a praying mother. You all have known her now for the last 18 months. 18 months ago, when she learned about the murder of her son, they told her that she would just have to deal with it alone. They told her that there would be no arrest, that there would be no accountability, that there would be no justice. And she made her son a promise before she laid him in the ground that her mom, his mom, would fight for justice for him. In order to do that, Glenn County had to change.
That's right. That's right.
She couldn't find justice in the Glenn County that she found in the year 2000.
That's right. That's right.
On February 23rd, there was a prosecutor standing in her way, Jackie Johnson. Wanda Cooper prayed her out of the way, out of office, and she's facing criminal charges herself.
That's right. That's right.
When she came to Glenn, when she was looking for justice in Glenn County, she was faced with a corrupt legal system, one that never fully investigated her son's murder, as we learned during the course of this trial. Wanda performed her own investigation. Wanda hired her own attorneys, and she woke up a nation. Amen. Can you all join me in just giving a round of applause for this fighting, faithful, praying mother?
I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you. Thank each and every one of you who fought this fight with us. It's been a long fight. It's been a hard fight, but God is good.
Yes, He is.
Early in, to tell you the truth, I never saw this day back in 2020. I never thought this day would come. But God is good.
Yes, he is.
And I just want to tell everybody, thank you for those who marched, those who prayed, most of all the ones who prayed.
Yes, Lord.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, Lord.
Thank you. And now Quez, which you know him as Ahmaud, I know him as Quez. Yes. He will now rest in peace.
Yes,
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. You all heard the gut-wrenching grunt that came out of Marcus Arbery when they pronounced Travis McMichael guilty. He could not contain it any further because think about how long he and Wanda have been enduring all the innuendo, all the allegations, all the character assassinations, long legs with dirty toenails. Just imagine all they went through. That when he heard that, Reverend Al, he could not contain himself because Marcus as a father, they see their job as to protect their children.
That's right. That's right.
And you can experience the pain of a mother and a father who witnessed what they witnessed, not being there to protect their child.
Right.
Every parent in America can take solace in knowing that we have an example of how to deal with tragedy and grief when they look at the example of Marcus Arbery and Wanda Cooper, and we should applaud them.
That's right.
They should be applauded. And I tell you all, we together did this. We all together, black, white, activists, faith members, lawyers, prosecutors. We did this together. We said, America, we will make us better than what we saw in that video. And I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge, even though we are clapping and we're cheering and we applaud, Wanda and Marcus still are devastated because they're missing Ahmaud.
That's right. That's right.
Devastated.
That's right.
And so even though this is not a celebration, it is a reflection to acknowledge that the spirit of Ahmaud defeated the lynch mob. The spirit of Ahmaud defeated the lynch mob. The spirit of Ahmaud defeated the lynch mob. Marcus Arbery.
Number one, I want to give all glory to God.
Yes,
Because that's who made all this possible. Number two, I want to thank his mama.
Yes.
And I want to thank my sisters and brothers. I want to thank my children for being strong through this rough time.
Yes.
Because I know it was hard what they had to deal with.
Yes. Yes.
And number two, I want to thank all y'all people, all the support y'all gave us.
That's
Because
right.
one of us even did this.
There you go.
Ain't no one side did this.
That's right.
God put us all together to make this happen. So there ain't no one side. So what I tell you, God don't work one-sided. God work two-sided. All right, I'm going to put you here, I'm going to put you there.
Amen.
So y'all pull together and work this thing.
Amen.
So hey, that's what it's all about.
Amen.
Because if one side wouldn't work, it wouldn't have happened.
That's right.
You had people working when you wasn't working. Come on. When you wasn't working, you had people out here working, marching, going in the office. We conquered that lynch mob. We got that lynch mob. This history today. Letting you know that black kid life does matter. For real, all life matters. Not just black children. We don't want to see nobody go through this. I don't want to see no daddy watch a kid get lynched and shot down like that.
That's right, Mom.
So it's all our problem. It's all our problem. So hey, let's keep fighting. Let's keep doing it and making this place a better place for all human beings.
Amen.
All human beings.
Amen.
Everybody.
Amen.
Love everybody.
Love everybody.
All human beings need to be treated equally. We finna conquer this lynching. Today is a good day.
Before the lawyers come back, let me also say, as I said to all of the activists, their family, thank them. We thank a lot of those that were local.
Yes.
Reverend Baker.
Oh,
Who stood up even when other clergy wouldn't stand up. Those pastors stood with the family.
Yes, he has. Yes.
We want to thank Barbara Einwine. All of the ministers that came last Thursday. We want to thank Cliff. And I want to thank, if he's watching, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who despite his illness came down and sat in that courtroom. And all of us, this is a day white and black activists showed we could unite and beat the lynch mob that killed our men.
That's right.
And though I never say this often, I must say, we want to thank the prosecutors. Tomorrow, in all our joy today, there will be an empty chair at Wanda's table. Ahmaud would not be at Thanksgiving tomorrow. But she can look at that chair and say to Ahmaud, I fought a good fight. And I got you some justice. We can't fill that chair for you, Wanda, but we can say that you were mother above all mothers. You fought for your son. And Marcus, you fought for your son. And even though it'll be a sober and solemn Thanksgiving, you can thank God you didn't let your boy down.
So, Ben and I had a difficult task to do when showing up to this courthouse and turning the case over to the prosecutors. We want to exercise, as attorneys, as advocates, we want to exercise control over something this important. And it was difficult to relinquish that control to the Cobb County's prosecutor's office. Of course, we had to, under the law, and they did what they had to do to secure a conviction. And I applaud them for putting on a airtight case that resulted in conviction for all these men. They've invited Wanda and Marcus and their supporters to stand with them for their press conference. And so we're going to do something else that's difficult to do. We're not taking any questions. We're going to step back. We're going to allow the prosecutors to make a presentation about their case as we stand with them in solidarity and thank them for their efforts.
And it's a good example for when Lee Meredith's Texas Attorney General. Hold on. Hey, y'all, please be quiet so we can give them the respect they so richly deserve.
Hello, my name is Latonia Behinds. I am the Executive Assistant District Attorney for the Cobb County District Attorney's Office. I bring you greetings and remarks from our District Attorney, Flynn D. Brody Jr., who was appointed as District Attorney Pro Tem for this case and for the prosecution of this case. Unfortunately, he was not able to be here due to a family medical emergency. First and foremost, we want you to know that from the moment this case came to our office, it was our foremost goal to ensure that we got justice for Ahmaud Arbery's family. And in particular, we are so very proud and thankful for the confidence that the family has given to us. We admire and commend the courage, the steadfastness, and the strength of Miss Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud's mother, and Mr. Marcus Arbery Sr., the father of Ahmaud, in seeking this justice during this process. It has been a long road, and we are so happy that we're able to be here at this end of this road. We'd like to also say thank you, and we commend the courage and bravery of this jury to say that what happened on February 23rd, 2020 to Ahmaud Arbery, the hunting and killing of Ahmaud Arbery, it was not only morally wrong, but legally wrong. And we are thankful for that.
Amen.
We want to thank and specifically recognize some people who have been involved with regard to the prosecution of this case. In particular, our team, our lead attorney, Senior Assistant District Attorney Linda Dunikowski. Assistant District Attorney Larissa Oliveira. Senior Assistant District Attorney Paul Camarillo. Our Chief Investigator Charles Prescott. Deputy Chief Investigator Keith Lamone. Investigator Cameron Watson. Investigator Darius McClure. We also need to thank people from at home who've also been helping us with regard to this case. Ms. Kayla Willis, Ms. Jada Baxter, who is here, Cindy Bard, Sarah Rapp, Laramie Floyd, Matt Morgan, our communications department, our fire and EMA, IS, DOT, and GIS. We also need to thank also the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, in particular Director Vic Reynolds, Special Agent Richard Dial, who I believe is here with us, Special Agent Jason Seacrest, Special Agent Lawrence Kelly, and Inspector Eve Rogers. We also need to thank specifically with the Glenn County Police Department Deputy Chief Ricky Evans and Captain Jeremiah Berquist. We also with the Glenn County Sheriff's Office need to thank Glenn County Sheriff Neil Jump, Glenn County Clerk of Court Ron Adams, Georgia State Patrol Major Thornell King and Sergeant Chris Black. With GMA, we also thank Operations Managers for Homeland Security Todd Keys. What we can make note of this is that Ahmaud's death has significant changes in this community and in our state and in this nation. With the passing of Georgia's first ever hate crime bill and the changing of Georgia's antiquated citizens arrest law. We want to thank this community for the support that it has given to the family and to us and the community at large. And we want to have some opportunity to have some remarks also from our team. So our Senior Assistant District Attorney and Lead Attorney, Linda Dunikowski.
Thank you very much. But this was a team effort. I want everyone to know that this was a gigantic team effort. DA Flynn Brody put his faith and trust in our team, and I could not have done it without my trial partners. They were all very, very instrumental in making this happen. We had so many people on the team that helped to bring justice for Ahmaud and his family. And we really, really appreciate the support that we had and the faith from Mr. Arbery, and from Ms. Wanda Cooper Jones, who have been with us and have put their faith in us and trusted us to bring justice for Ahmaud. And the verdict today was a verdict based on the facts, based on the evidence. And that was our goal, was to bring that to that jury so that they could do the right thing. Because the jury system works in this country. And when you present the truth to people and they can see it, they will do the right thing. And that's what this jury did today in getting justice for Ahmaud Arbery. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen. Yep, you ready to go?
Hey, you know what? Let's thank Miss Polite. Hey! There's an 87-year-old lady who's been here every day. Hey! Let's thank this one 87-year-old lady who's been here every day. Hey, you all! Hey! Where Marcus at? The parents, Wanda and Marcus, and the family of Ahmaud Arbery, Lee and Cliff and Reb, all of us, we've been here most days of the trial. But there's a lady who is steadfast in her conviction. She's one of those NAACP warriors, Reverend Al. Miss Polite, 87 years old, has been here every day of jury selection and every day of trial. So let's thank that. Where's she at? Okay. So let's thank that shero, Miss Polite. God bless. It's people like her why we got justice. Yeah, motivated. Thank you for that.
You've been listening live now to the verdict earlier that was read in the Ahmaud Arbery murder case. Guilty on most of all charges. All three men found guilty of murder in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. So just moments ago, we heard from attorneys for family members, for the mom and also for the father as well. And those attorneys, including Al Sharpton, civil rights activist Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, as well. And I know, you're just joining us, Rick, for this, but just listening to the mom speak, Mom Wanda, interesting what she said. She said she never thought the day would come, this day, seeing those men convicted of murder in the killing of her son. She said, thank you to all those who prayed. Ahmaud can now rest in peace, saying that she had promised her son, made a promise to him during his funeral when she buried him, that she would get justice for her son. And today it appears that justice has come.
There is a real sense, it seems, there in Brunswick, Georgia, and all around the state that perhaps now some healing can take place. As we take a look, there, of course, is Ahmaud Arbery's mom, who is walking away now. A gaggle of reporters, of course, walking with her. Now, we heard her speak. We also heard from the legal team, Tracy, and we heard from the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor, just moments ago, who said that this was a verdict based on the facts. And when you give a jury the facts, that they can look at the facts, not based on anything other than those facts, and make the correct decision. There was a lot of concern going in after the jury selection process that this was a jury that perhaps was not going to be able to come to a correct decision because of the racial makeup of the jury with only one black member. However, she was saying that this had nothing to do with race. This was factual, and when a jury can look at the facts, they can make the right call.
Yeah, when you just listen to Linda Dunikowski, who really was given the job after the former DA was removed from that position, that she really laid out the case in questioning Travis McMichael in terms of why he was pursuing him at the time and what was going through his mind at the time, and what weapon did Ahmaud Arbery had. He had none. He was trying to get away the entire time. So I think possibly for the jurors, she really laid out the case of he was being pursued as opposed to being, this thief, on the run at the time. So certainly a lot of accolades have gone out to senior ADA Linda Dunikowski for that. As we take a live look at the crowd, certainly a number of people surrounding Ahmaud Arbery's family right now. Today, just certainly a bittersweet day for them as they really, envelop themselves in all of this attention. But it comes down to this is the second Thanksgiving Ahmaud will not be be at the table for them. As we remember, this started back in early 2020 in February when Ahmaud was shot, and no one knew what happened exactly until that video came to light and really started the ball rolling on this. And certainly the pursuit that his mother gave, that she would get justice for her son.
And you mentioned that ball rolling in the legal sense. It's not done yet. Even with this trial, this is not the end of the legal process. We are still looking. Those 3 defendants just convicted of murder today are still facing additional federal charges. These are just the state charges that they were convicted of today: the malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, 1 count of false imprisonment, 1 count of attempt to commit felony. And we saw how careful the jury was in tailoring their verdict to each of the defendants and their specific roles in all of this. Of course, Travis McMichael, the one who pulled the trigger, he was the only one of the 3 to be convicted on the charge of malice murder, which is basically the equivalent of first-degree murder. And so the jury really taking its time today and yesterday over some 11 plus hours of going through all of this information, all of this testimony, the videotape. We know they had questions that they came back and asked. They really wanted to get it right. And I think to the minds of a lot of people on the ground there in Brunswick, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we've certainly been seeing celebration. Are we able to go to CBS 46's Zach Summers? He's been on the ground for us throughout yesterday, actually throughout this week. I know, Zach, it may be a little bit difficult to hear us, but certainly we just heard from the family of Ahmaud Arbery and the attorneys there. The reaction from the crowd really being able to celebrate, in some sense, this verdict for the family.
Being down here on the ground, it's almost as if this group is wrapping their arms around the mother and father of Ahmaud Arbery as they make their way from the Glen County Courthouse. It's been 1 year and 9 months since Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down.
All right, we're going to have to fix Zach's microphone there and check back with him in a moment as soon as we get that worked out. You know, I thought it was very interesting. I heard you talking to Zach in the moments right after the verdict was announced, and he was speaking with an older black gentleman who was saying, Zach said, "Are you surprised by the verdict?" He said, "Yes, I was." He said, "I knew what the verdict should have been, but I didn't know if the jury was going to agree with me." And I think that that's very telling, that everyone going into today, even though the evidence and that videotape evidence was so damning for the defense and so clear as far as all of us being able to see exactly what happened there, and that there was a young black man who was unarmed simply get shot there. I think that a lot of us, even though we knew that the evidence was so strong, that we were concerned, that a lot of people were worried that that was not going to be conveyed by the jury's verdict.
And I certainly think when you are a person of color, you have this sense of you hold your breath.
Yeah.
We have unfortunately been through so many of these trials that can go another way very easily. So I think you have a tendency to hold your breath, to not know, okay, what is the jury's perception of what has happened? And as you mentioned, we have 1 black male, 9 white women, 2 white men. When you have a jury that's made up like that, you aren't sure what's going to happen. But as you mentioned before, you have this video that seems to be so telling.
Yeah.
But again, we have to remember, and when we spoke to our legal analyst earlier, Paige Pate, this video was actually brought as evidence of them pursuing, basically taking, in a sense, justice into their own hands. They thought they were doing the right thing at the time.
Citizen's arrest offense.
A citizen's arrest. That's why this was really brought to the forefront. And in turn, it was something else. That's not how it all played out. So you're not sure, how is the jury going to perceive that? And, what is their backstory, their history that leads them to feel and react a certain way? Because some people could look at that and say, oh, yes, that rightfully so. He was seen on video inside that, home that was being built. So, surely he was there for some other reason. And that's what, that's what the defense attorneys laid out. Why else would he be there? But so you do hold your breath in this sense. And so I think for so many people, it does come as a sense of, okay, after so long, after February of 2020, this family has been waiting for justice, waiting for this day, that finally it's here, and now you can, okay, take a breath.
The role of black pastors in this case will be talked about for some time, mainly because of the objection that was made by one of the defense attorneys as far as having them around and in the courtroom. He thought that they could in some way influence the jury, but it was Al Sharpton who said after the verdict today that here we are, a black man killed by 3 white men in the Deep South, and a jury made up of mostly white people decided that black lives matter. And so that, I think, is a headline that a lot of people are going to take with them, and a good feeling heading into this Thanksgiving holiday.
All right, let's go back out in front of the Glynn County Courthouse once again, where Zach Summers is. And I know, Zach, you are now marching, headed away from the courthouse. Is there a direction that you're going in?
Yeah, we are headed from the Glynn County Courthouse. Just a small group of folks who are celebrating this victory. They are actually headed to the mural in honor of Ahmaud Arbery here in Brunswick, of course, the same city where he was killed back on February 23rd of 2020. A lot of these folks who are marching now, they have been here since the beginning. They have been calling for justice, and now they have gotten it in the form of guilty verdicts for all 3 men associated with the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. We saw the family leave the courthouse surrounded by a group about 10 minutes ago. They have since left, and now this group has taken to the streets again, headed to a mural. It's been a long day coming for not only the family of Ahmaud Arbery, but so many folks who were disturbed by that video of him being chased down and then killed. It was a year ago, 9 months. It took several weeks for them to select a jury. It took 13 days of trials, of going through it, and then, of course, 11 hours of deliberation for them to come back with guilty verdicts for all 3 men associated with the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. We're going to stick with this group, and we'll be back at 4. For now, back to you, Tracy and Rick, in the studio.
All right, Zach Summers marching there with so many people who have been out there day after day after day. They've come from all over the state, from all over the country to lend their support to the Arbery family, to show them that the community and the whole state and country were behind them.
Absolutely, and we are getting reaction from many across the state and across the country as well. Our very own U.S. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock sending us this statement released this afternoon right after the verdict. It says in part, true justice looks like a young black man not having to worry about being harmed or killed while on a jog, while sleeping in his bed, while living what should be a very long life. Ahmaud should be with us today. And we also have just received a statement from Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, if we can put that up as well, to show you, because earlier we did hear from Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, but here is the statement from Governor Brian Kemp. Arbery was the victim of vigilantism that has no place in Georgia. We hope the Arbery family, the Brunswick community, our state, and those around the nation who've been following his case can now move forward down a path of healing and reconciliation. That from Governor Brian Kemp.
Well, we're going to have reactions coming in throughout the day and the night. And, this is going to be certainly not a celebration. That is not the right word, because, of course, as you said, this is going to be the second Thanksgiving in a row for the Arbery family that will not have their son with them to celebrate the holiday. But still, in the legal sense, a victory and an opportunity to heal, an opportunity to say that the right thing took place. And in journalism, when we talk about crimes and cases prior to a verdict, we have to talk about alleged crimes. We have to talk about attempted murder. We have to talk about someone who's being charged with something. We can now say that Ahmaud Arbery was murdered by these 3 men, a jury having found them guilty today in Brunswick, Georgia. As we take a look at a live picture, people still gathering around the courthouse and reacting to these verdicts.
And a quick recap for you. After just about 11 hours of deliberations, 6 hours yesterday and 5 hours today, the jury came back with verdicts of murder for all three men. To run down those counts for you as well. For Travis McMichael, guilty on all 9 counts, including felony murder and malice murder as well. Gregory McMichael, his father, not guilty of malice murder, but guilty on all other counts, including felony murder. And William Roddy Bryant, not guilty on felony murder or malice murder, but aggravated assault and other murder charges as well. He was found guilty. And speaking with our CBS 46 legal analyst, Paige Pate, saying as far as sentencing could very likely mean life in prison for at least not all of those defendants there, possibly some of them as well. Here's a statement from Atlanta mayoral candidate and city council president Felicia Moore. We can breathe a sigh of relief as fair and impartial justice has been delivered. I want to express my condolences to the family and friends of Ahmaud Arbery. And while no verdict can bring back their loved one, I pray that this moment gives them some measure of closure. And I was mentioning earlier, you know, the family of Ahmaud Arbery, his mother Wanda and father Marcus, were able to come out in front of the Glenn County Courthouse and speak to the crowd that had been standing out there and waiting for so long. And, you know, the mother mentioning that she would not let this happen to her son without seeking some justice. That was the promise she made to her son before she buried him, saying she never thought she would see the day, but God is good, and thank you to all that prayed. Ahmaud will now rest in peace. And for a mother, that means everything.
Well, absolutely. For any parent, the loss of a child, there's nothing worse than that. You know, you hear it all the time. As far as the sentencing, Tracy, because you mentioned that a moment ago, these men now face a minimum sentence of life in prison. All three of them, even though they have been convicted of somewhat different charges, they all face life in prison. The judge now, rather than the jury, a lot of times afterwards you go into the penalty phase of a trial, the jury that convicts is the jury that comes up with the penalty. In this case, it's the judge that will decide whether or not any of these three men is eligible for parole at any time. Zach Summers, once again live for us on the ground, covering reaction to the verdict there in Brunswick. Let's check back in with him. Zach.
Yeah, you know, Rick and Tracy, we have made it to the mural of Ahmaud Arbery. As we take a look at that, I'm going to talk with Shanita. I actually spoke with her yesterday. She came here with her daughter. Shanita, how are you feeling today now that we have guilty verdicts?
I'm very happy. I'm thankful. I thank God that he delivered justice for the state of Georgia, for Ahmaud Arbery and family. Today is a new day that is going to set the standard for the prosecutors in the state of Georgia, and the little cliques that they form with each other to stand against our people is no more after today.
Certainly, and as we take a look again at the mural of Ahmaud Arbery, Shanita, as you look at the photo of him, you know, what goes through your mind?
I'm sad because his mother and father and family are without a child. I'm sad, but I am happy that there was justice in this case for him, and now he can rest in peace knowing that his family fought as hard as they could. And not only his family, the community came together, the activists, the pastors, everybody came together to get justice for Ahmaud today, and we're happy.
Yeah, and she's been here and she quoted John Lewis, the late John Lewis, saying, you know what, let's stay being part of good trouble, as she said it. We'll leave you with the chanting of this crowd outside of the Ahmaud Arbery mural here in Brunswick, the site of where the city where he was killed, and now a city that is celebrating, or at least happy with a verdict, guilty verdicts in this case.
All right, thank you very much, Zach. For Tracy, I'm Rick Folbaum. Join us at 4 o'clock right here on CBS 46. Complete coverage. Don't go away.